Good afternoon, this is HorseRacingNation.com handicapper Jared Horak, and we're talking 2016 Derby contenders in this video. We're going to recap the Breeders' Cup Juvenile first. In the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, Nyquist, he's going to end up being your 2-year-old champion. He's 5 for 5 now. He ended up winning the race. He drew an outer post. He was out in post 13. He came from farther back than normal. In Southern California races, he was close to the pace. In that Breeders' Cup Juvenile, he was wide, he was sitting back in 8th place, and he was able to rally a bit from off the pace and get the job done, winning by a half length, and he beat Swipe, the same horse that he beat in all of those Southern California Stakes races. So that's the 4th race in a row now that Nyquist and Swipe finished 1st and 2nd, and Nyquist beat him in all of those races. Now Swipe keeps trying hard, and he's getting closer to him now that they've gotten around 2 turns. In the front runner around 2 turns, and then in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, Swipe was much closer to Nyquist. And if you look at the pedigree of the horses, maybe going forward into next year, a Swipe could end up beating Nyquist at some point, maybe when they get to a mile and an 8th. Nyquist has a pedigree of Uncle Mo and Forestry. Swipe has a Birdstone Grand Slam, so I think he's more likely to do better as they go along. Now the Breeders' Cup Juvenile got an 89 Beyer speed figure. Now for comparison purposes, Songbird, who won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies impressively, she got a 99 Beyer speed figure. If you even go back to Southern California, because Southern California is where they ran the Chandelier and the Front Runner Stakes, Nyquist won the Front Runner, Songbird won the Chandelier. She's about 5 lengths faster than him. She was in Southern California. And she was when they came to Keeneland for the Breeders' Cup as well. Now what does all this mean on the road to the Kentucky Derby? Does it look like the Breeders' Cup Juvenile will be a good race? Based on the speed figure, the pedigree of Nyquist, I think maybe as he goes forward, he was one that was bred to win early. He's done a great job this year. He deserves to be your 2-year-old champion, but his pedigree might be a bit suspect as they get into these longer races, a mile and an 1/8 and a mile and a quarter next year, but he's done nothing wrong up to this point. As I said, Swipe, a good 2nd in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, bred to go on. One that could improve next year. Brody's Cause was 3rd. He looks like a long-winded sort. He won the British Futurity at Keeneland. He rallied through some traffic to finish 3rd in the Juvenile. He's got a nice pedigree that suggests, along with his running style, that extra distance won't be a problem for him next year. Some of the other horses that ran in the Juvenile, Exaggerator ended up finishing 4th. He's for Swipe's stablemate. It wasn't a bad effort, it was an even effort, but now that's his 2nd even effort around 2 turns. Maybe he's better around 1 turn, maybe he's going to have some distance limitations, but he does have some talent. Greenpoint Crusader, he ended up finishing a disappointing 7th. He was fanned wide in the Juvenile. Not his best effort. He was further off the pace than normal. But if you look at his pedigree, even surprised he possibly won a race like the Champagne. I wasn't expecting him to do well as a 2-year-old. He seems to have that kind of pedigree, Bernardini, that he should get better as he gets older. So I don't hold this race against him. I think he could be better next year. And then another one, Conquest Big E, another one that's part of my Derby list. That one finished 8th. He drew the inside post. He battled on the pace a little bit. He was stalking the pace, and then he faded in the stretch. It was his first start against winners. It was a tough assignment. He has a ton of raw ability. If they go in the Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes for him, I think he can go better in that one. Earlier this week, my #1 Derby contender from my first list, Mohaymen. He was #1 when I posted my first list on September 30th. He made his 2nd career start. He won his debut at 6 furlongs, his 2nd career start in the Grade 2 Nashua, 1 mile at Aqueduct on November 4th. Good professional win. He drew an outer post, he stalked the pace, he was able to pull clear in the stretch and then win nicely. It was a hand ride, it was a good solid effort. He got the same Beyer speed figure as Nyquist in 89. The good thing about Mohaymen, he hasn't been around 2 turns yet. He's only had 2 lifetime starts. He cost $2.2 million for trainer Karen McLaughlin. This one has a ton of potential. He should get better as he gets older, and he's certainly one to continue to follow on the Derby trail. Sail Ahoy, another one that was on my list for trainer Shug McGahee. He was 3rd in the Nashua. That was a good solid effort. He was 7th and last early. He rallied to finish 3rd. He missed 2nd by a neck. He had the best final quarter in the race. And he hasn't run around 2 turns yet. His pedigree screams 2 turns. Next year, as a 3-year-old, Sail Away is going to be much better. So I think that this Nashua may even have more quality than the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, because Mohaymen and Sail Away, I think they're 2 quality horses that should continue to do better as they get older. A couple horses that I've added to the list this time are Gift Box and Matt King Cole. Now, they ran against each other. That was at Belmont Park on October 3rd, and they were separated by a nose. That race was originally scheduled for the turf at 1 mile and a 16th, and they got a 93 Beyer speed figure. They both got the same figure for being separated by a nose. Now, I wasn't sure if that race was legit or not, of that speed figure, but then Matt King Cole came back on October 31st at Belmont Park in a 1 mile race, and he earned a 96 Beyer speed figure going wire to wire, winning by 5 lengths or so. So that was he validated that race. So Giftbox and Matt King Cole, two horses that are certainly worth watching on the Derby trail. I think they have a lot of talent. They've already run faster than Nyquist. More Spirit is the other one. He's sitting number 2 on my list for trainer Bob Baffert, and he broke his maiden on October 23rd. He looked good in a 1-mile race at Santa Anita. He ended up getting a 92 Beyer speed figure. He's a $625,000 purchase, as Condrea the sire. Good pedigree. He looked really good at Santa Anita, and he's one certainly to follow. If you want to follow my Kentucky Derby contenders list, go over to horseracing.wordpress.com. I will update the list. I have videos, updated list there. And right now, as I said, my top 2. Mohaymen number 1, More Spirit number 2. If you would like to see the rest of the list, go over to horseracing.wordpress.com. And if you'd like to follow all of the horses on the road to the Kentucky Derby, go over to horseracing.com, our Kentucky Derby 2016 page. All the information you want. There's videos of the races. We have pedigrees. If you want to rank your favorite horse, you can vote for your favorite. So go over to horseracing.com for all that information. That'll wrap up this week's video. We'll be back next time that we do a Derby Contenders video. We'll probably recap the stakes races. The Remsen will be coming up later this month. Mohaymen should be there. The Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes. We're probably going to see Conquest Big E and some others. So we'll have our next video Thanksgiving weekend. Until then, good luck at the races.